Now, hunger and fighting persist in South Sudan, despite last month's peace deal between warring leaders. Last year, a man-made famine was declared in 2 opposition areas. On Friday, 3 United Nations agencies issued their latest assessment, saying more than 6 million people, nearly half the population, have been pushed into extreme hunger. A UN official says the main driver of the food crisis is the war, which has uprooted over 4 million people since 2013. And few people in South Sudan believe that this latest peace deal will really put an end to the conflict that's killed an estimated 380,000 people. Well, let's take a closer look at the situation in South Sudan. Let's speak to my colleague in Nairobi, Raman Young. Rama.
Indeed, Jeff. So police in South Sudan are also investigating another incident. This time they're looking for the motive behind an attack in South Sudan's western city of Yambio. Now, authorities over there have confirmed that 10 people were killed, dozens more were injured in a nightclub attack on Friday night. Now, the venue at the time was packed with about 500 people when a hand grenade detonated in the club. 4 people died at the scene. Many more victims are critically injured, so the death toll has risen since Friday. Police say the incident is not related to the ongoing civil war. President Salva Kiir and his rival Riek Machar recently did sign a peace deal to end the conflict, which has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced millions. Now then, let's see if we can get you the latest details on exactly what is going on in that end of the world. CGTN's Patrick Oyet joins me now on the phone from Juba. Patrick, what exactly is the latest here? Do we know who's responsible, what the motive for this attack may have been?
Yes, Rama, up to now, the police are saying they are still continuing with investigation into the matter. They have not come out to say who exactly they have apprehended. They are not given the details of the person they have apprehended. They are not also giving us information such as the motive for the attack, but they say investigation is ongoing. Previously, people actually thought this could have been more of fighting between opposition and government forces. They have come out to dismiss that. That is the police. They say this was an isolated incident, and they are continuing with investigation. Rama, I must say that in South Sudan, small arms and light weapons are many in the hands of unauthorized persons, including, of course, ammunition such as grenades. There are many in the hands of unauthorized persons. Last year, when the Sudan People's Liberation Army tried to carry out a kind of operation to remove small arms and light weapons in the hands of the people in the city of Juba, it was surprising. So many weapons were removed, and even a person was found with actually anti-aircraft weapons. So this tells you how these weapons are actually spread all over the country. This is because of the long years of civil war. Many militias have been operating around, and as peace agreements come, when they are signed, military people or militias are integrated into the national army. There is no proper investigation. Some of them come without the weapons. They hide the weapons. So you find that there is no proper investigation as to where they kept their weapons. And these weapons they keep, of course, at home. And that's why these kind of incidences, like even communal attacks, have been happening. You find one community fighting another community with a lot of weapons, like a real national army fighting another army, and sometimes they even overpower the national army because the weapons are mainly in the hands of unauthorized persons. So police are saying they're still going on with investigation, and we are waiting to see what will come out with. But also I must say that attacks at this kind of level, whereby a grenade is thrown on the civilian, has never happened before in South Sudan. Even though there are intercommunal fightings using AK-47, what is commonly known here as AK-47, attacks on civilians using grenades at a scale that occurred in the western part of the country never happened before. So we are waiting to hear from police more of this, whether this person who carried out this attack carried it alone, whether it was a revenge, whether these are groups or new groups that are emerging and they are now planning to attack or continue to attack civilians. We're still waiting for police for more information.
All right, we'll leave it there for the time being. Patrick Oyet there live, of course, on the phone line from Juba. Joining me in studio, though, to talk more about the security situation in South Sudan is Michael Irunga. He's an expert in affairs on Africa's youngest country. Welcome to the program. So, authorities here say this incident isn't connected to the civil war, but it does tell us something about the fact that the country is awash with small arms that really aren't traced, and we don't even know the scale of the problem in the country, doesn't it?
Yes, that is very true, because there are lots of arms in the hands of the wrong people. We have about 40 different armed groups. They're supposed to be fighting for political persuasions, what they believe and stand for. But then what we find is that within South Sudan, we find that these groups are using these arms to attack the innocent. We find that there are incidences of communities being attacked, women raped and so forth, which cannot be the right things in terms of the arms helping to be able to deal with the political situation on the ground.
I know that the political situation is very fluid, but given the fact that the main factions, right, the one headed by Riek Machar and the government led by Salva Kiir, have essentially signed a peace deal not too long ago, what can they do to essentially remove these illegal arms from the market?
They need to follow up, and the concern that we have is that they sign agreements, and it appears as if, you know, there's commitment, and then they renege on this agreement. So it's important that there's commitment in terms of ensuring that when you sign a serious issue around arms because of the conflict, look at the deaths involved, the rape cases, the violations of human rights, they should have that commitment in terms of ensuring that this is adhered to.
But isn't this also an incentive problem, though? Because if you see these repeated violations of the civil war, of the peace deals rather, by both sides, neither side really has an incentive to remove weapons from the market that they could perhaps be using later on in future conflicts, do they?
Yeah, the issue of selfishness. I've said that leaders need to be selfless, they need to be sincere, they need to actually follow through in terms of what they are committed to accomplish. But then in South Sudan, we've had very, very good discussions and very, very promising kind of way forward that has been beamed internationally. But then what happens is that they go back on this commitment. So it's important that the leaders are selfless and they take it upon themselves to say what they mean in terms of
and actually implement it.
Yes.
But look at it from an international perspective, because South Sudan is basically a landlocked country. Would an arms embargo help? Is it even feasible as a way of essentially trying to deal with a small arms problem?
The international community needs to come in and help, because there's the United Nations, that different agreements, declarations and statutes that are internationally, you know, it is committed to. So this needs to be adhered to. It's important that they take this into cognizance in terms of moving this forward. They need to come in, because previously among the leaders themselves, they're not able to bring this to a close. So the international community needs to move in, and there needs to be commitment in terms of reining in on the leaders. I think it's important.
We'll leave it there for the time being. Michael Arunga, thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, and so then, Jeff, clearly quite a bit of work left to be done with respect to dealing with the violence and the problem of small arms in Africa's youngest country. Back to you.